Thank you for that introduction. So I work for Udemy, the other learning company, not Linda. So our goal, our why, is for people to learn anything, anywhere. So I'm going to be talking about the things that we've done as we've grown. I've been with the company for a year and a half, and we've gone from 30 people to 200 people with about 5% turnover. So we've had a great ride, and it's really positive. Before I start, I've been doing this for, I'm just going to age myself right here, over 30 years. When I first started in HR, culture, engagement, any of that didn't even exist. It was like you were like the Dilbert bad HR director, right? It was like rules, regulations, la 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 la. It wasn't very fun, and it's great to see that the HR, the people, the culture has evolved so much, and that people actually value it now. And you see that because now HR reports into the CEO, you're part of the business, you're helping HR goals align with the business. So with further ado, I don't have any cute pictures. I'm just gonna apologize, I feel so bad. I was talking when I was getting set up, I said, shoot, I have someone that I love named Norm, who's my 18-month Burmese mountain dog that I sometimes bring into the office. Like, damn, if I had brought him, I would have had a cute picture. So anyways, I'm not quite sure how this works, so let's hit it. So I'm not gonna read through all the slides. I'm gonna really start with this. This is kind of the culture HR pyramid. I truly believe that in order to set a great culture, your CEO has got to believe that people are your #1 value. If you're not aligned with that, forget it. I mean, I won't work for a company where a CEO doesn't say, people are my #1 asset. A lot of companies talk about it. And I've worked in high tech, retail, low tech, waste, whatever. A lot of people talk about it, but they don't really mean it. And as Ellen said, one of the things that I think differentiates our company is that we actually really care about people. And you can look like that. HR is kind of always squishy, but my team, we measure everything. So for example, our offer to accept ratio is 87%, which is pretty high. And we don't pay above market, we pay at market. But I'll tell you what we do that's different. So as I said, it starts with your CEO, it starts with the recruiting process. It's so important, when people come in, I always tell managers, remember it felt like when you were actually going through the process. We look at recruiting, and that is where it's a customer coming in, it's a customer going out, and managed by common courtesy. It's funny, I've been doing this for a long time, and I can't even name the number of applicants that tell me people didn't get back to me. I interviewed with this company, I went on an on-site, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and no one got back to me. And as an HR professional, that just hurts. My team's metric is 24 to 48 hours, get back, even if it's a no. And last year, we rejected 6 people when we said, no, we're not, we don't have anything right now, it's not a fit, but we really did think that you might be a good culture fit, and then we hired them. So, how you turn down people is so important. Your benefits, kind of just, you gotta have it, right? I'll explain a little bit of, the food was mentioned, going under the salad bar. I'll tell you what our salad bar is. Compensation, you need to make sure that you have whatever philosophy it is, that you can articulate it, take the emotion out of it, and explain to potential employees and your current employees how you do compensation. For example, for us, I talk to our employees, I say, compensation, it's a triangle. We use Radford. I'm sure, how many of you guys use Radford? Yes, it's kind of like the be-all. I always tell people, okay, especially candidates, we use Radford because only like nerd comp people can put data into it. We don't care, they're just numbers, versus salary.com, right, where people just put in their salaries and they inflate them, right? So we use Radford. We look at San Francisco Bay Area companies with less than 200 employees as one part of our triangle. The second part of our triangle is we look at people with similar skill set, and the third, what the person is currently making. And so we kind of take the emotion out of it and explain the why we are coming up with our comp. Training, this is a big thing, especially with the millennials. People want to keep training. We're very fortunate. We have a lot of training at our company. One of our perks is you can take any class from, how to train a puppy, which was my first class, to programming. So you can take those. And then the last is, I wouldn't even say performance evaluations, but checkpoints. You know, a lot of companies are going away, and I really do see that trend. It's more of checking in, and that starts with management training. So I just kind of go real quickly through this. Again, starts with your CEO, but culture is not the executive team. It is not HR. It is everybody in the company. Everyone needs to really believe in the culture and be selling it and really feel it. It's really important. So as you can see, and kind of as Ellen had talked about, I always say it starts with the foundation of trust. You know, and some companies start with results first, and we start with trust, and we put programs in to make sure that our employees know each other. Just for example, at lunch, our lunch is from 12 to 1. Everyone goes and sits there. It has nothing to do with the food, because to be honest, you're never going to please all your employees with food. But it has to do with getting to know each other. And then people know at our company that after 1 o'clock, we work with food runners, and we give the food to the homeless. So they know they have to come and talk to people. It's not acceptable to just take your food and go back to your desk. And we also make sure that all the executives go and eat with all the employees. We're all on the same level. So that's something that's really important. Well, maybe not. Okay. So programs that build trust. One is open communication and transparency. I'll talk about it a little bit later, and I know that Culture Amp's going to be talking about their survey at the end of the day. But when we do our surveys, we are very clear with all of our employees that we share all the results, everything, good, bad, and really bad. But we won't share if they name a person. But being very transparent is really important, because if you're not, then why ask the questions? Why ask your employees to give you feedback? As I talked about, and I'll go into further, starts with the interview. You know, some startup companies are not for everyone, and so you have to be very upright in front. For example, I talk to employees, I'm like, you do everything here. I said, it starts with me. I said, I happen to be an early riser, so I'm usually one of the first people in the office. I make the coffee. I don't care. I want coffee. I'm sure everyone else wants coffee. Some people don't like that unstructured environment. We do a couple different things. One is what we call new hire intro, all hands, dentists and donuts. A lot of companies have very formal programs, right? We have all hands where we talk about revenue, these goals, blah, 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 blah. That's great, but it doesn't also give employees just to ask any questions and to feel comfortable. So we started a thing called Dennis. Dennis is our CEO, and donuts. I know we try to make it cute and fun. So people would ask some more questions. Daily communications. This is a really great way to build trust. Engineering, how many of you guys have engineering teams that use the agile methodology, right? Most of you. We do that with all of the departments. So in the company, around 10:15, you will see all the teams getting up and talking. Here's what we did yesterday. Here's what we're doing today. Here's where we need help. Also, even with remote teams, I have people in Turkey and in Ireland, is we do our stand-up at 8:45 in the morning because we want to make sure those time zones are taken care of. So we still do it because that builds trust very quickly, especially when we're hiring a lot of new people. I already talked about food and lunch, so I don't need to really go over that. So this is one of my main philosophies, is that people may remember their first and their last day of employment, and that is it. So on that first day, you better make sure it's done right. And it's the small stuff, but we do a balloon, and it says, "Hi, my name is blah," so that everyone in the company knows, okay, here's a new hire. We make sure they've got all their swag. We make sure they have their computer. We make sure their hiring manager is actually there because, they own it. But we set it up so that all of our employees go through the same process that day. And we start off at 10 because we know a lot of times engineers prefer to get in a little bit later. So first and last days, even if you're going to be terminating an employee, how you do it is so important. We were talking about caring early, making sure that you look, is it a birth date? Is it a holiday? Is it someone's vesting date? Before you do that termination, make sure you've covered all those things. If you know you're a larger company and you're going to have to term someone, term it on the first day of the month so that person gets their insurance for them and their families for an entire month and doesn't have to go on COBRA. Make sure you care. That's really important. I always call it my Market Street test. I've worked with a lot of different companies. I want to feel very comfortable walking down Market Street, and if I've had to help a person with a termination, that they still talk to me. Last year we did a termination. It was, blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, I got a plant. They were like, wow, you treated me so well. You treated me like a real person. So it's really important the first and last day. When you go through the life cycle of employee, you need to make sure that you're very fair and consistent. You may have different people in different offices and different locations. Just make sure you're really consistent with that. For example, we have parental leave, so we don't care if you're in Ireland or Turkey or in the U.S. We give everyone 4 weeks pay. Even though the laws are a little bit different, that's what our minimum is. So we start off with that. We have a culture club, we do events, remote offices, making sure you include those, and I'll go a little bit into that, is really important. And then measuring your culture. I can't stress this enough because, HR is squishy, but, the CEO and the board's gonna wanna know, okay, so for example, in the engagement survey, how engaged are your employees? Are they proud to work at your company? Will they refer people? For example, our score is 95%, and we have 30% of all of our hires come from employee referrals. And we don't pay that much for employee referrals, but we try to keep it in front of people by doing department competition, where we might put all the departments up in the break room, and then we'll put, if someone refers someone, a flower next to each department, and then teams get very competitive as the quarter gets closer to an end, and then you reward the team, so as well as the individual, so that works really well. What's your net promoter score? That's really important. You hear marketing talk a lot about that, but HR people need to look at what's the internal net promoter score. We were doing really well on that. And then your Glassdoor ratings. That's really important. Our board looks at that every single time there's a board meeting. Ours is 4.9, which is awesome. I have to say, we really worked on this in the past year and a half. We partnered with our marketing team to make sure that our press information was on there. We also respond to people that have negative experiences with us. They've never responded back to us, but we still do respond and say, thank you for bringing it up, and what could we have done different? So those are really important things to do. So as I said, culture starts before day one. It is a candidate experience. Make sure that they are treated as a customer. That's really important. Being on time, it goes back to just common courtesy. But I don't know how many of you guys have had to do this where you're trying to find a manager who's 10 minutes late for an interview or 15 minutes late. That is a very bad impression. So you need manager training on why it's important to be on time, take notes, all those different types of things. We also, when a candidate leaves, we give them something so they'll remember Udemy. We give them a disposable bag because, as you know, in San Francisco, everyone needs a bag, right? Wherever you go, or you pay 10 cents or 25 cents. And we also, on the bag, we thank them for coming in, and on the other side, we talk about our volunteer program. Then what we do, as I said, we make sure we get back with people within 24 to 48 hours. I can't stress how important that is. And I know, especially when you're hiring a lot of people, it's very difficult, but it's really important because, as I said up here, they may leave and they may be your next Glassdoor review. So really important to do that. So here you can see our little balloons up here. Before people start, we have them send in, it's kind of old school, a little thing about themselves, which is their picture, and then what job they're working for, which office, and then some information on them. And we send that out electronically, but what we do, since we have offices in Turkey and Dublin and in San Francisco, is for this year we have class of 2015. And we actually put pictures and what everyone is doing up on the wall so that people remember it's not just your San Francisco office, it's not just your Dublin office, it's not your Ankara office. So those are things that are really important. Little things matter, like a welcome sign from the team. I know these sound very small, but they add up. They actually make you think, wow, this company really cares, and it's really important. We do a scavenger hunt. And when I mean a scavenger hunt, for example, when we start up new hire orientation, what we do is we ask people, give me a small fact about yourself. You know, like, oh, I don't know, I run marathons, or I speak 3 different languages or something. So at the beginning of orientation, people have to figure out who did what. And if people don't give me information, I stalk their LinkedIn profiles and I come up with something. So, but it's a great icebreaker. It's great for like teams to get together to start off that process. We also do like a 30-day check. What's going, 10 minutes, what's going well, what's not going well. And we've learned a lot of things for that. For example, when we were hiring really a lot of engineers at the beginning of the year, they were saying, after a 30-day reviews, some of them came back and said, gosh, we'd really like more para-programming. It's not been built in, and we've only been getting a little of it, but we need to learn. And they were junior engineers. We brought it to our VP of engineering and said, look, can you do this? And then we made a change. So after 60 days, then it went better. So, I mean, even though you've got your employees, you want to make sure they're engaged and they remain with you. So doing those checks is really important. We also do a CEO, like new hire breakfast. We do want to make sure that all of the employees feel comfortable talking to anyone, whether it's a CEO or anyone on the executive team. Whoops. So that's super important that you do that. Okay, so here's some things we do to get people to know each other. Okay, speed dating. Not the, okay, what do you like, whatever. But as you grow as a company, you want people to know each other, right? It's really important. So we set it up with bells and tables and questions. You ask her, 2-minute questions, boom, keep on going, keep on going. It's fun. It's loud, it's fun, but people get to know each other, so we do that. We do lunch roulette. So we only have lunch 4 days a week because we're in San Francisco and people like to go out. But also what we'll do is we'll put teams together that don't typically work together, and they all go out and have lunch to get to know each other. Volunteering, like today is our first worldwide volunteer day. So people in San Francisco, Dublin, and Turkey are all doing different things, but we want to give back to the communities that we're in, so that's really important. Because we really think, the more that people know each other and trust each other, that they're going to be more productive. We even go, when we go to outings, for example, the Giants game or, bowling or something, we do it a little bit differently, is we put teams together that, again, don't work together. We have a captain, one of those silent influencers in your company, and they are in charge of making sure that people get to the event and people interact, and we usually have some games because our employees are very competitive. And then we have an executive, and all they're there to do is just to pay. That's just their role. So instead of just going to the baseball game and everyone just gets drunk, we go to the baseball game and we play games and we have people that win. So it works pretty well. So as I mentioned, we have people in different locations. So we do small things. One is our class of 2015 in all different locations. We have our new hires. One of the things we found out is the people wanted to come to San Francisco, not like in a month after new hire orientation, but right when they got hired so they could understand the culture. So that has been something that we have been doing a lot. We have the clocks. I know this sounds, again, kind of small, but it reminds people, don't do a meeting when it's 2 a.m. in the morning and you're expecting people from Dublin or Ankara to hop on, right? You need to be cognizant of the different times. So we have people come to our offices, and then we also go out to the different locations because we want people to feel that we're one company, not 3 different things. So as I mentioned, coordinated activities. For example, we did the volunteer program worldwide today. All right, so this is really important. So measuring, as I mentioned, we love Culture Amp, not gonna lie. We have used them, and one of the reasons we use Culture Amp is because you can get great feedback, not only on your employees, but to benchmark it against what other high-tech companies are doing. It's really important. I don't know, if we have a lot of engineers, so they like to see, okay, is that really relevant? Well, yes, it is, because we're measuring it against other high-tech companies. We got 95% participation in our engagement survey. And how did we do that? Sort of a little bribe. We said if we got 90% participation, you could have a pancake breakfast, wine and cheese, or chocolate tasting. Pancake breakfast won. But we also put a barometer when people walked in the door that kept showing how you were going to reach it. And so that worked out really well. So you got 95% participation, which was awesome. So that helps. How your office is set up. I know this was mentioned a couple times, like changing office. We have a open office. Doesn't matter what level you are. We all sit basically at tables, which is great. But we have a very open environment, and that's really conducive to building those relationships. We do team building, so we've done Myers-Briggs. We do that for all the departments, or colors, so people get to know each other. And in any of these that you're doing, it's great that people know what they are, what their Myers-Briggs, blah, blah, blah is. But it's more important to know what the team overall is, and then how you fit in the team or how you distract the team. So those things are really important. I can't tell you, our employees love when we do those type of programs. Performance reviews or check-ins, those are great. Company values. Our company values are let's go, learn, excite, together, innovate, get stuff done, and open communication. That's great. Those are words. That does not matter. It is your daily behaviors and how you treat people that really matters. So we don't have these up all on the walls. It makes me always sometimes nervous. I'm thinking, oh God, I just remember Enron, and they had all their values engraved in the walls, and that didn't work very well. So that always makes a fear of mine. So we really just focus on just make the behaviors. So as I mentioned, the survey, important. One is that the employees feel that it's going back to a third party, so it's really important. Share all the results, and we do share all the results. It's really important if you're going to ask the questions. Set goals. After we set our goal, after we go through the survey, we set 3 goals as a company, and then individual department goals, and then we go back 6 months and revisit those as well. And continue to ask. One of the things as a company is we always say we're good. How do we get great? We got on the list of great places to work in San Francisco. We were number 14. I want to be within the top 10. So we're good. We can do better. I think that's it, because I think my time is running out. Oh, here we go. A couple other things. And again, as I mentioned earlier, learning is also something that's really, really important. We do measure it, how much our employees use our own learning tools, but everyone wants to learn. And I think it's not just the technical skills, but it is the soft skills. As I mentioned, Myers-Briggs or anything else, those kind of things are really important. And you owe it to your employees to train them, especially if you have a lot of managers that are kind of new in managing. You need to give them the tools to be successful, because sometimes it's just not innate, and you have to really do that. Okay, so that's it, I think. I've got down to 2. So conclusion. There we go. I did it. 2 minutes. Okay. I was trying to get us back on track. So I think that's it. Again, I'm glad that this Culture Summit is here. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to share information. We're all striving to get, the best place to work. We're all competing for the same talent, which is also very difficult. But I would just say, if you treat people how you want to be treated, and you do things a little bit differently, you'll be able to get, your offer to accept ratio. Just one thing that we do, hopefully you guys won't all do this, but we do, when we make an offer, that night, people are sent flowers or wine, and then executives send notes. And we've had people who said that makes a difference because you actually care. You care about me, or we'll send them the spouse if we know that's going to help close the deal as well. So anyways, just a few things. Hopefully you guys have learned a few little tidbits to help your culture. And I wish you all success.